Kitchens and baths, your home never looks so beautiful.
Meteorologist Rodney Price. Any fog out there giving way to mostly cloudy skies near 50 in the afternoon with a light east wind. Tonight, some patchy fog, some clouds, and some rain will move in. Morning lows in the lower 40s, a light north breeze. On Thursday, rain in the morning, then partly sunny skies will top out in the upper 50s. That's the forecast on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Currently 44 degrees.
And it is 12:05 and time for Senior Talk with Rex Brandstatter, brought to you by the Solon American Legion and Senior Benefits. And here he is, Rex Brandstatter.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much. On such this different kind of a day here at KCJJ, we'll tell you all about that. Welcome to Senior Talk. It's a great afternoon, and a great afternoon to be a senior, that's for sure. And I'm so happy to have you on board. It's kind of a gray day in that the weather forecast, I picked up on a couple words there, 49 or 50 degrees and rain. Folks, that's 49 or 50 degrees above zero, and that's rain, not snow. So I think I think we're a winner there. I'll take that any old day in the middle of winter, for God's sakes. Why not? Well, it's a great day to be here with you today, and a great day to be a senior. And greetings to everyone tuning in on Senior Talk. Hello, and thank you, each and every one of you, for taking time out of your busy day. I really think this is a great time to spend a little time to yourself during the middle of the week, hump day we call it, and see what we can cook up here. I also think it's a great time to grab yourself a sandwich and a nice cold root beer and see what we can do. I'm going to do my very best, as always, to bring a myriad of topics and ideas every week that might be important aspects of being or becoming a senior. Not everything we talk about here will apply to you or pertain to anything you might want to deal with or think about, but some might, and it might just be a good idea for you to think about it. The things we talk about it, maybe look into it more, maybe give me a call, and maybe I can give you some tips on where to call, who to call to find out more information. I'm only licensed and authorized to dispense professional real estate advice. I certainly cannot dispense any insurance advice, investment advice, health advice, or anything like that. I just try to draw your attention, and hopefully you will go on about your way as you see fit. Well, my name is Rex Brandstatter. I'm a 76-year-old real estate broker, and I meet mostly and talk with lots and lots of people. I work with a lot of seniors, lots of seniors. Seniors and their families, sometimes their kids are in their 50s. We sit down and talk. I work with administrators of estates, unfortunately, executives of estates, unfortunately. Work with trust departments of banks. I meet with the seniors and their families, of course, as we talked about, and, of course, just the seniors themselves. So if you want to talk about real estate, feel free to give me a call on my senior line, which is 319-330-5534, 330-5534. Just had a senior call me on my way down here. Wants to talk about something in real estate. We're going to meet at 1:30. So that's the way it goes in my life. That's just the way it is. I don't know what's going to be, so we'll sit and talk about it. And therein lies the key for real estate. Therein lies the key is to talk about it. You've got a situation that has arisen. You are smelling a rat on a situation that could occur, might take place. You're kind of taking two steps back and kind of reassess the situation where you're at now, as far as not just your lifetime, but maybe your living location, things like that. Sometimes you just need to sit and talk, and that's what I do. I do a lot of that for sure. And I'm, again, my senior line. Just give me a call, 330-5534. Well, it's with an extreme heavy heart, and we talked today about the loss of Captain Steve's wife, Jan. Jan Sobroff has passed away, as you heard at the top of the show. And I knew Jan and for many years, and such a nice, bright, cheerful lady in her day, and until the day that she got a hold of a thing called ALZ, it says in the paper, which I knew about. That's, for us in the street, that's called Lou Gehrig's disease. And the saddest part about that is that there's no way out of it. Excuse me, I know many people who had it, and there is, well, Lou Gehrig had it in 1939, and there's no way out of it then and no way out of it now, so it must be a toughie for sure. So our hearts and sympathies go out to Captain Steve and all of that family, all of the KCJJ family here. It's not fun times, and we're certainly here to do our best to pay homage to Jan Sobroff, who is left us to go on to do God's work, I guess we would say. That's the story of the tape. So my condolences for sure. Well, we've got something this Saturday night that will keep my wife busy anyhow, and that is this Saturday, Sunday morning at 2 o'clock. I'm going to have her get up at 2 o'clock and set the clocks ahead. I've got two chances that would ever happen in our house. Well, of course, everybody has set them the clocks forward when you go to bed, but I've got her in training this week, trying to get her up at 2 o'clock in the morning to set the clocks ahead. It's not going well, ladies and gentlemen, not going well at all. I was told a couple things that you physically can't do. So I'll let her deal with that on Sunday morning when we get up. At least 1 clock there in the bedroom will be ahead because she'll set it. And the rest of them around the house are on me. You know, that's the way it goes. So we're going to spring ahead. I like it. It's a great day. We've passed all the litmus tests for spring. You know, we've got around the first of the year, and we've got January out of the way. We've got Groundhog Day out of the way, for gosh sakes, about a month ago. We've got spring training opened up. We've got real spring on the calendar, starts pretty soon. Now we've got rain in the forecast. Folks, we're on our way to spring, but we've all lived around here long enough to know that we could take it in the shorts at any time. But I think we're doing good. So set your clock ahead 1 hour this Saturday night when you hit the sack. That'll be time to do it. And remember what the American Indians used to say. Only white man can saw off top 1 foot of blanket and sew it on the bottom of the blanket to make the day longer. So they weren't any big fans of the daylight time. And by the way, I heard some discussion yesterday. I was right here on KCJJ about daylight time. And when it came up, daylight time was invented by who? Daylight time was suggested by, they didn't adopt it at the time, but by Benjamin Franklin. Our own Benjamin Franklin came up with that in the 1770s. So it's been around for 250 years, and you should also know that not all states bite on on daylight time. And when I was a kid, back in the 50s and early 60s, it was state by state, county by county. Your county could elect to be on it or not. So, case in point, Muscatine County was not on daylight time. So there was a time difference of 1 hour between Iowa City and West Liberty. So that is an honest to God true story. So Muscatine, which I liked, I had several cousins lived in Muscatine, so their little league games where they could play half the night. And in Coralville, Iowa City, we were done by 6 o'clock. You know, it was dark, for God's sake. Didn't make any sense not to be on daylight time. Farmers used to complain about it because they said it disrupted the cattle. And my response to that was, I'm no farmer, A, but B, how the hell do the cattle know what time it is? I don't know. Everybody has their own take on it. There was a survey, though, taken just a couple years ago that it was the survey. It was a 91% of Americans favor going on daylight time. So it's kind of a big deal. So I don't see that coming off anytime soon. The President of the United States says he likes it, so I don't see that going to happen anytime soon. So that's the deal. We're going to have longer days. Now, it'll be darker in the morning. You may be back to going to work if you're still working. In the morning, it could be dark. Well, that's what it is, but when you get off, you got a lot of time left. All right. Well, how about this? A senior friend went to the doctor for an annual checkup, senior friend of mine, and for some kind of issue he was having. What it is, I don't know, and I didn't ask. Well, the doctor solved his issue, gave him a little prescription, I imagine, and then he said, do you fall down a lot? And my friend says, well, no. Why? So the doctor said, well, would you take a test? He said, well, sure. So the doctor got out of a notebook and started asking some questions. He said, now, this is a memory test. He said, a what? This is a memory test. What? So the doctor proceeded to show him asking some questions, show him some pictures. You know, what is it? Is that a duck or a goose, or is that a anteater or a cow? What is it? You know, things like that. Had him memorize some words and repeat them back, and he passed it easily. And then he asked the doctor, what's that all about? Why are you having a memory test? So when my buddy was telling me that, I said, well, that's because your wife called the doctor ahead of time and said he can't remember what day it is or when he's supposed to go to the office or anything like that. So she probably ratted you out. Well, I was just kidding. Well, that did not happen, by the way. The doctor just said, well, I'm kind of starting, have been using any time you're over 70, I'm starting to use the easy peasy memory test just to see how you're doing. So there you go. So I asked, he's my friend now, I said, well, you better go turn in your driver's license and give things up now because you're on the memory test, I think. But, it's not making light of it, but the doctor had no reason other than, excuse me, they give kind of a heads up. So something going on in the medical business that when you're maybe say 70 and over, maybe it's going to be 65, I don't know. And remember, you could fall into that ALZ and you can have issues like that. You don't have to be a senior to have those things happen. It's a sad state of affairs for sure. Well, that's kind of woke my buddy up, that is for sure. Well, a senior man says this, I'm thinking that I need to do some nice repairs and updates to this house. The house seems to have been colder this year. And I said, well, our house seemed to that too. But, I said it was real cold and windy, and those days just kind of, they blow right into your house and make the warmest of houses feel cold. And he says, yeah, I get it. And I said, well, he said, well, what am I going to do? I said, I suggest you have a couple things. I suggest you call Mid-American Energy and see if they still do an energy audit. I'm not sure that they do. I haven't heard them. They used to blow about that whenever they had one going, so I don't know that they do. But there are private companies that do it. Of course, they would charge you. But that involves, either one of those tests involve coming to your house, and they've got little handheld meters. They don't go walk around and say, oh, it seems to be colder in this back bedroom. They've got meters that test, oh, boy, for humidity, for heat, for cold, for moisture, all kinds of things like that. You can have an energy audit. And I might suggest to you that, A, call Mid-American Energy, B, look up, maybe online, look up or talk to a friend about a contractor who does it. I'm suggesting that the number one thing you can consider is more insulation in the attic. And that usually seems to be what those people do. They'll take a survey and say, well, you've only got 12 inches of insulation in the attic. It's halfway settled. There's not much R factor up there. And you need to have what's called an R factor of R40. That's not 40 inches, but it's 40 inches of cellulose, whatever you have up there. But it's a scientific measure of R40, and so you need to have that up there. We're gonna have it done at 2 of our office buildings this spring. We're gonna have I'm just gonna have an insulation check. I called the contractor last night, as a matter of fact, and have him come out and look up in the attic and see what's going forward, see what it looks like, things like that. So it's very, very important that you do that. So yeah, you spend some money on that. I don't know. I'm not your accountant, but I would call that a repair, so you can deduct it the same year you do it. Of course, I'm not the accountant, but I would call it a repair, not anything other than just try to take it off as an expense. I think that works for sure. So the more installation you have, the more it helps retain the heat, and it also helps keep the home or building cooler in the summer. So I would suggest you an insulation thing. Well, our house is only 8 years old. Our house is only 6 years old. Our house is 32 years old. Perfect. Makes no difference. Someone should stick their head up in the attic and take a look at that. That is for sure. Well, a young lady in her late 20s or early 30s asks me this. What route do I take to do some financial planning? Well, my folks said you suggest that younger people get started on a plan. And I said, well, I certainly do. And I said, you have something that I don't have as 76 years old, and you're in your late, I didn't ask her age, but she sounded like late 20s, early 30s just to me. And I said, you have time. You have lots of time. So if you're going to invest, you put some money into whatever investment vehicle, whatever they may be, stock market, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, stock market, CDs, whatever a different array of things might be. You have whatever money you put in, you have hopefully a long time for that to grow. Let your money work for you. Let your money work for you. For gosh, you earned it. Now put it into something, and while you sleep and while you go to an Iowa football game, your money's working for you. Time value money. So I suggest you do this. Number one, you realize, and I made the observation that maybe there's something you could do. She says, I have a nice career going, and I want to maximize my financial efforts. That's a quote right out of her mouth. I have a nice career going and want to maximize my financial efforts. Now, I don't know what a nice career, but let's just say I'm going to just take a guess. I'm only guessing that maybe she's got a college degree, and I don't know if she's professional or not, but maybe she's got a college degree and works at a company, has a really good job. Maybe she owns a company or part owner of a company or a career, so maybe she works for someone and it's got a good track to bigger and better things at that company for sure. Wow, good for her. So I suggest you ask your friends, not for their advice. You can do that, but don't take their advice on what to do. Take their advice on who they work with. Maybe your friends will say, well, we met a lady. She's a financial planner type of, okay, that's fine. Or you can go online and look up certified financial planner, chartered financial planners. That's what you need to go. Those are men and women who have taken extra education to get advanced recognition in their field. All right, you want someone to sit down with you and ask you a million questions about you and your job and your income and your expenses, blah, blah, blah. You think they're working for the FBI, but they're looking out for you so they can help you plan. So go for it. And then I want you to talk to two of them. Well, I met this lady, Jane. She's really nice. It's not about being nice. It's about what plan they can come up with you to get your maximum, because you said you wanted to maximize your financial efforts. Go for it. Go good, and thanks for calling. Thanks for recognizing. And then when you get that set up, you should feel free when asked or in a situation that some of your friends, their cohorts, your peers talk to you. You could say, well, here's what works for me, and here's who I work with. At least you should talk to that lady. At least you should talk to that guy. All right, that's what it's all about. And I thought that was such a really good question for a person like that. And just remember, don't rely on your brother-in-law or a friend at work for their advice, but you might see who maybe they work with, and because everybody's different. I have a brother, and he's 4 or 5 years younger. So what works for? We grew up together, the same house, same thing. But what I need and what he needs are two different things. So go about your business and go march in there to somebody's office and have a talk. A banker called me. It's true. A banker called me to talk about seniors and their banking routines. And I've met this banker many times. I actually banked there, but I couldn't tell you last time I actually sat in front of him and talked anything about that. He said this. He said, we sure see a lot of local seniors with a lot of money sitting in checking accounts. Now, he never mentioned names. He wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. We don't do that. I don't know who he's talking about. None of our business, he said, but they could be earning money on that if they would sit down and let us help. Wow, that kind of goes along to this lady, called from this lady. A banker actually called me and said, we sure see a lot of local seniors or customers with a lot of money sitting in checking accounts, which he says is none of our business, but they could be earning a lot of money on that if they would sit down and let us help. Because banks have investment portfolios too. They have investment vehicles that you can do too. So there you go. So we're trying to help you out with your money. Isn't that something? Everybody's trying to help you out of it, out of your money. Everybody's trying to help you out of your money. I'm trying to help you get more, for God's sake. What the deal? What's going on here? Oh, that's the way it's got to be. All right. A lady told me this. I'm the POA, which means power of attorney, for a friend. She is not in good health. Then she said this. How do I handle things for her when and if she passes away? And the answer is what? What's the answer? She's power of attorney, and she's now saying she's not the lady who made her the power of attorney, or her friend. The power of attorney lady says, how do I handle things for her when and if she passes away? And the answer is, you don't. You don't. The power of attorney expires upon her demise. So you can no longer make any decisions for that person. When your friend is Mrs. Smith and she passes away and you are the power of attorney, you're out of job, so to speak. You're done. You are kaput. at that point, you're going to have to sit down with the surviving spouse, or if there is one, or family members, and see if there's a will. Hopefully she had a will. She made you power of attorney. That usually means they met with an attorney, and the attorney said you need to get a power of attorney. So if she has a will, now whoever the executor is will take over. And there's a process. You have to get death certificates and things like that, and then the executor will take over. All right, that's what happens. So you are a power of attorney until the lady passes away, and then you're done. All right. A senior lady whose husband died about 90 days ago tells me this. I've had some really interesting calls. I didn't say good calls. I didn't say fun calls. I said interesting calls. This lady whose husband died about 90 days ago tells me this. I sure have been busy at the attorney's office. Rightfully so. We have been, meaning she and her attorney, have been transferring title in properties, putting my name only on things. She said there's so much to do. Then she called me back after we talked for 15 or 20 minutes. I just realized something. I just realized that I need to tell the attorney something else. I said, well, call he or she back up. Well, she said, I forgot to tell him that the title to a farm that we have, not where they live, but a farm that they have, is in both of our names, too. What am I going to do about the farm? And I said, you get a hold of that attorney and make another appointment, and you tell him why you're going to come down there, or he or she, why you're going to come down there again, and you've got to do the same thing. And I said, I know your family, so you've got some kids, 3 or 4 kids, so you're going to have to sit down and think it all out, just like you did anything else you sat in front of your attorney with, okay? Okay. But she said, boy, there's so much to do. It seems like every day I've got a list of things to go do and go transfer and take out this name and that name. And she said, oh, by the way, she said, my husband had his own credit card, and he signed up for certain things. He said he just renewed with a certain company for monthly membership to this or that. She says, what do I do with that? How do I shut that off? I said, I'm not a financial advisor, but you're going to have to close that account or call that on the back of your statement. There'll be a phone number for that company. Call them and tell them that your husband is deceased now, and they'll cut it off. But it'll take you a while for sure. There are just so many things to do upon the death of a spouse. It's just not good. So she said, what do we do about the farms? I said, well, the farm, well, you got to put that in. Then I said, do you have a will? And she said, well, yeah, we had a will. I said, no, that wasn't my question. Do you have a will? Well, she said, no, we had a will. I said, well, you need to go back down there when you talk about the farms. And I said, you need a will now, too. Your husband's gone. Now you need you. Your name is Jane Smith, so to speak. You need to have your own will. Oh, my God, another trip to the attorney. Yep. That's it. So, folks, that's be careful what you do. Do it right. Just do it right for sure. Don't be afraid to go do it right. A senior lady tells me this. We went to an antique store. She said, it says, we went on an antique store, quote, run over the weekend. And they said, lots of people on weekends, a lot of weekends, we go to a different area around eastern Iowa. We know some different junk shops. She said, I'm being nice, junk shops, antique stores type of thing. And she said, we're seniors, and half the people in there were seniors, and they were buying things. She said, I thought seniors are supposed to be getting rid of things. I said, it's a habit. You can't get rid of things. You can try, and you can get rid of things that you don't need, that you don't want. Now, that falls under a big bucket because you want everything in there in your home. You don't, but you don't need it, for God's sake. And she said, I think seniors should be parting with things, not buying things. Well, there you go. Not going to happen because so many of us, you and I included, we just see some things that we'd like to have, and oh, isn't that nice? I need to have that, blah blah blah. So you buy it, and then what do you do with it? Then it sits on the cupboard, or it sits on the couch, or on the coffee table, or you hang it on a wall, and then what? And then what? I ask you, and then what? Okay. I don't know the answer to that. I'm saying then what? So I think you need to take some things, get rid of some things. You've got garage sale season coming up, for God's sake. Good luck. Get on it, folks. Get on. Coming soon department. This won't be a weekly thing, but a coming soon department right here on Senior Talk. There's a new McDonald's coming to Tiffin. You heard it right. New McDonald's coming to Tiffin. There's a new Quick Star coming to Tiffin. Now, these Quick Stars are pretty aggressive deals. So there's one over here on the bypass on Highway 6. And when you go in there, they're busy, busy, busy. They have gasoline pumps, and inside they got more groceries than you can shake a stick at. They're very aggressive that way. It's a quick shop. It really is. They have a lot of things in there. Well, there's going to be one. The McDonald's and the Quick Star are going to be on Interstate 80 in Tiffin out there on, what's that, Ireland Avenue, where there's a, you turn south, go right. You turn off that intersection, go right straight north, right into Tiffin, about a half a mile. That's where it's going to be, on the southeast corner of that intersection. So there's going to be this Quick Start will be a big truck stop thing, and a McDonald's right with it. So there you go. Tiffin, Iowa gets a McDonald's. Go figure. Well, the McDonald's is trying to locate on the interstate. They probably don't give a hoot about, so to speak, about Tiffin. But they want to be on that intersection to grab that interstate traffic, and that's the way they do it. There's a new Culver's coming to North Liberty. Oh, aren't I just full of stuff? Well, I'm a real estate guy. There's a new Culver's coming to North Liberty, and that'll be up there on Penn Street, way out there a ways. There's going to be a new Culver's. They'll take advantage of some of the 380 traffic, too. So that's kind of the hot news. I don't know if you ever go that way or to do this or that, but things are coming. And I need to report, starting on maybe, is it next, whenever March the 14th is. I don't think that's next. Is that next Monday already? Might be. I don't know. Today's the 6th or 7th. Next week sometime, anyhow, on March 14th rings a bell. The last phase of 5th Street improvement in Corville, which is right flat in front of my office. Right in front of the Corville Public Library is where my office is, right across the street. I've got a couple buildings there, and I've got some tenants who have, they do a lot of business, a lot of walk-in traffic with their customers. And now that section of street, the last section of the highway, or of 5th Street, is going to be torn up and repaved, and they have to be done in June. So we're going to call it the middle of March, the big middle of April, May, and June. There's that 90-day project. It involves dump trucks, a million guys digging, cement, paving machines, inspectors, surveyors. It's busy, busy times, and it's not going to be fun. The whole 5th Street from Hy-Vee back up to 12th Avenue, except for this little section of about, 200, 250 feet is all done. So it's going to be plugged up, clogged up, going to be a pain in the gluteus maximus, which is the fanny, again this summer. So they're going to be done by June. All right. So that's kind of the story, folks. That's what's going to be happening. And I want to go over a daylight time rule that we had at our house in Coralville as a kid. Daylight time was a great thing when I was a kid, absolute for sure. We played Little League games with no light. We didn't have any lights, so it was either play. We played till it got dark. I golfed many, many times at the Elks Club over the years. And you golf till you can't hardly see the ball anymore, and you can go till 9 o'clock at night, half the time. The house rule at our house was this, and this was laid down by my mom and my dad, the supreme leader. So the supreme leader was my mom, of course, but the assistant supreme leader was my dad. And you didn't want to deal with either one of them, especially my dad. You didn't want to have to go to the head cheese if you didn't. Right? The rule was whatever mom tells you to do, you do, and you don't question it. That was rule number one. And rule number two was if you didn't do what she said, you had to deal with the supreme leader, and you didn't want to do that. All right. So the rule is this: when the street lights come on, you better be getting your fanny home real soon. And I'm talking real soon. I'm talking 5 minutes, 5-10 max. 10 would have been a stretch. So in June, July, and August, the days were long, so we were out and about a long time. It was great fun. And, I don't know about today's rules or today's kids. Something you rarely see kids out and about anymore. You drive around in the summer. When I was a kid, you could go up any half the areas of Corville. There's always a pickup softball game going, or kids out in the yards doing it, having a carnival, or washing their bikes, or doing bike rodeos, or all kinds of things like that. And sandlot baseball games were a dime a dozen. I played in a million different sandlot pickup games. You didn't have to know anybody. There was a game. You stopped. You had your glove with you on your bike, and you played in that game. And you may get up to bat. You may not. You may have been a fielder the whole time. Made no difference. You just wanted something to do. All right. The days of hide and seek, late in the evenings are gone. All the neighborhood kids, the neighborhood girls, the boys, a lot of us, we played hide and seek, kick the can, all kinds of stuff. All those things are gone. Lightning bugs. I don't think kids even know what lightning bugs is. Well, I didn't like that rule, and I never pushed it because I didn't want to get in hot water, because the hot water would have been, you can't do anything tomorrow night. That would have been worse, so you beat it. So that was the rule. When the street lights come on, you better be heading home. Well, I've got a little thing here that says, let's talk about this for a minute. Americans are now making ends meet with a side hustle. That's the term. That's the news. Instead of a part-time job, it's called a side hustle. And for instance, I had a side hustle when I was a kid. I told my dad I wanted a new bike, and he just kind of rolled his eyes, and he said, well, you got to have some skin in the game. What's that? He said, I'll pay half. His rule was whatever he kind of wanted. He said, he'll pay half, but you got to pay half. Well, all right, I get a new bike for half price. Not half price, but half investment. So I said, where am I going to get the money? He said, because we didn't make any money living at home. You know, you could paint the whole side of the house. He's not paying you. Because you live in the house. He's providing you. He says, I'm providing a roof over your head. Well, I'll take out the garbage. Still, that's part of living here. That's part of the mechanics of living here. Well, I'll wash the car. No, that's the car needs to be washed. You're going to wash it if I tell you to. So a side hustle in my dad's world was mow the neighbor's yard, which we did. My brother and I had lawn mowing business. We had paper routes. We did. I opened a bait shop in our front. That made my mom happy because I was making stink bait. But it was the figured out, kid. You want more money? You got to work for it. You got to earn it. That was the key word. You have to earn it, because he was going to spot us half, but he didn't mind it if we made the whole thing either. But he was there for help us out. So we could say, well, we need more money. We're not making it fast enough. And he would say this, well, then get some more yards to mow. And it was all about doing what you could, doing what you have to do. Don't rely on him, all right, for sure. Well, this study says that more Americans are making ends meet with side hustles. A large majority of Americans, 72%, I don't know about that, so 7% rely on at least one source of secondary income, according to a national representative survey. The top sources of income, 14% report a freelance gig or work. Freelance. Well, now you work down at the shoe store, and on your side hustle, you detail cars. I know a guy who does that, by the way. Another 14% recorded income from investments, such as stock or crypto. Well, I couldn't make 2 cents on crypto because I know what it is, but I don't want to spend 2 cents in my world worrying about whether or not I'm going to have any money in case it folds. 9% report income from a side business. You not only work at the shoe store, but you repair fishing reels. I know a guy who does that. You do a camera repair, something like that. You do sewing. You make quilts. A lot of women make quilts. Oh, I suppose men do too. I don't know. Passive income. Passive income, that's for royalties and rent. That's a neat way to go. You don't just get passive income for doing nothing. You have to go buy a duplex or a house and rent it out. And when you do that, you got to pay the taxes, you got to pay the insurance, you got to pay the bank. If you have a mortgage, you got to pay for repairs and upkeep. If you're going to mow the grass, a lot of my buddies still go mow grass on weekends. They mow grass and pick up the trash. And the income, remember, that's passive income. The money you take in from your investments, you have a 12-plex. The money that comes to you, that you finally, here's how much you made. Pick a number out. $25,000. That's passive income. You don't pay any Social Security on that. Isn't that interesting? And that's why so many investors and companies have passive income. You can get into that. You don't have to be a big cheese. I'm not a big cheese. I have some passive income, and it works. It's it's taxable as income, but I'm not paying the Social Security and FICA on it. Uh-huh. And 4% reported a second job with a different employer. So you work at the shoe store, and you also work part-time at Costco, something like that. So get this. This new report suggests that a side hustle is no longer a mere COVID-era trend. It has become woven into the fabric of American work. So lots and lots of people have decided, something? I started this thing to pick up some extra money, and now the extra money is fine. I like it, But me working part-time, a pizza delivery, by working at Hy-Vee, you see a lot of senior men and women working at Hy-Vee. Whatever you may do, maybe you do bookkeeping on the side. You got yourself a little side job, you got yourself a little side income. Aha! Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Except one thing. If you are a senior and you worked all your life to retire, and now due to certain things, maybe due to health issues, or maybe you're boy, here's a rabbit hole to go down they don't have time for. Maybe you're supporting your family, your kids who won't work. They're sitting in the basement playing on their computer, and they won't work, and you're helping pay for their school. You're helping pay for your car and their car insurance. Your expenses are rising so fast you can't stand it, so you had to take that part-time job. Go look in the mirror and analyze what you're doing, all right, for sure. So if you need more money, trust, we all know that inflation has gone up. It is coming down for sure, but it's gone up and expenses are more, so a lot of people are working a side job, and I don't blame them. Well, I got a hot idea for you, as always. Lots and lots of people, like my friend who called and said her husband passed away, and now she doesn't know. I don't mean anything about what's going to happen, but she's kind of going inch by inch, step by step. I'm thinking you could do this. If there are two of you at your household, whether your arrangement, I don't know, but whatever it is, that's your business. Sit down and talk about your future. What do you expect? What do you expect when you retire? What do you expect when you decide to change jobs? What do you expect if you're going to change houses? Do both of you work? Do either of you work? If you both work, do you plan to keep going if you retire? One of you going to retire and quit working and be around the house all day, or get another side job? Sit down and talk about it. Well, I thought we were going to travel. I thought we would travel 3 or 4 months out of the year, and then we go to Hawaii every winter, blah, 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 go to Florida. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go do that. Forget that. We've got Iowa basketball games all winter. I'm not going to go do that. We aren't going to go to Florida for the winter. You see, that's what one is thinking what they wanted to do, and the other has got no time for it. And if you don't talk about it, that creates World War III. And we don't need World War III at your house. Not at all. So it's time to sit back. And, you've all talked, well, someday when we retire, someday when I don't work anymore. Well, that someday could be next year. That someday could be 2 years from now. That someday could be 9 years from now. It could be 29 years from now. Have a conversation. Just kind of prime the pump on what you guys are thinking. Because if you don't, you come to odds at the end of the trail, and that's not what we're here for. That's not exactly what we need. All right. Well, I just listened to the Regina girls game. They got beat today, sad to say. But to think about the season they put in and all the efforts, all the coaches and all the staff and all the fans and all the players, they did their best, and they did well. They made it to state tournament, and how many teams didn't get to state tournament? So stand tall if you're a Regal player, a fan, administrator, and stand tall if you're a Regina fan, member of the Alumni Association. Absolutely good for you. Well, something, the greatest secret in life is this, is we just never know how long we're going to be here. And by here, I mean health and the abilities to live our own preferred lifestyle, not one based on a stroke or a new disability or an accident or dementia and things like that. Knowing that, I suggest to each one of you, do all you can while you can, whatever that is to you, swimming, running, crossword puzzles, reading, walking, anything like that. Just whatever you enjoy, just do it. Because remember this is something I thunk up, and it's so true, and I have made this. Too late may come too soon, okay? Too late may come too soon. You can figure that out. You can give me a call anytime you like. I'm Rex Brandstatter. Give Rex a call on my senior line, which is 319-330-5534. 330-5534. And I'm on Facebook at Rex Brandstatter, or I have an email, rex@rexrb.com, rex@rexrb.com. Just get a hold of me for sure. We'll talk. My salute to each and every one of you who have served the country and those who are serving. Some sad days, some soldiers got killed over there, and that's not good. They were serving their country. So this is Rex Brandstatter saying thank you for joining me here on Senior Talk. Hang in there, go Hawks, and we'll see you next time. So long.
Hi, this is